This is Simon Chilembo here, the proudest black man, the proudest African man I know. I'm ever so humbled and grateful that my ancestral spirits brought me to Norway. I'm grateful that it never turned out to be America. I guess my ancestral spirits knew that at some point during my lifetime, America would show its ugly face as we see it manifested through the scum of America that we see these days. In 2027, in 5 years' time from now, I'll be turning 67, which is the last official pension age in Norway. That'll also mark my 39th year of residence in Norway. A cross-section of people in my near and distant networks, out of pure concern, love, others out of cynicism, and others out of disdain. They ask, what's going to happen to me? What am I going to do when I'm a pensioner in Norway? Am I going to stay in Norway, or will I go back to Africa? Some emphasize the reality that, as of now, of today, as it is today, I'm single, no wife, no children. I've never been married. I don't have any children that I know of. I don't have a cat. I don't have a dog. I don't have chickens. I'm just me. And if that will still be the case in 2027, am I going to stay in Norway, get old, and end up living in an old people's home till I die, alone, lonely, full of regrets? No, that's not going to happen to me. I'm staying here on my terms. I am not going to Africa. Africa is just too messed up a place for me. I've lost all hope for Africa. As things are today, in my private world, in Africa, in my country, South Africa, in the world, globally, it is out of the question for me to live in Africa. When I look to Africa, in the broadest perspective, it's clear in my mind that to the extent, that the world has big problems, wars and, all these, political and hassles, between, the forces in the West and forces in the East, the religious problems, and all that. There's wars and climatic problems, global warming issues. Africa, it's a useless place, man. There's very little effective role to play. And that is not to say that African people are stupid, that Africa cannot contribute, to finding solutions, to the betterment, of life in the world. Hey, Africans, we have mankind's oldest knowledge in our genetic makeup. Black people are some of the most brilliant people in the world. You are listening to and seeing one of them. If you think I'm not brilliant, if you think I'm not a brilliant mind, prove me wrong if you can. But here is the thing. Thanks to colonialism, thanks to its brutality in the manner it was imposed upon Africa, when Europe started going out in the world in a big way, in the Middle Ages, throughout the advent of capitalism with the Industrial Revolution and all that, they took the world by surprise with their extreme brutality, it's the extremely effective brutality. When they came to Africa, with the vastness of Africa, and its openness, the nature, like much of it, at least the savannah Africa, it's from central southern, they had a party, and it was relatively easier to take over and dominate the world. And Africa, southern Africa, the African personality was destroyed permanently by the brutal imposition of colonialism in Africa, and all that went with it. The slave trade, that went on, into the Americas. I mean, the Arabs had already, caused a mess in East Africa, and you see that the transgenerational trauma that started at the time, still lives on, and this trauma keeps playing itself out, throughout different circumstances, different places. I mean, when King Leopold, slaughters, 10 million people in the Congo, just that's 10 million, others, the amputations, of the limbs, and all that. And that's a thing that stays, in the minds, in the psyche of survivors. And we know now, through neuroscience, that these things, come down to the epigenetic level of our existence, and they reproduce themselves from generation to generations. So these wars that are going on, in Eastern Congo and all that, it's not because Africans are stupid. It's because these people have this fear, this insecurity, this unsureness. This desperation. They don't trust anybody. They don't trust each other. They don't trust their own people. So they all fight for what looks like for nothing. And maybe it is. I mean, everywhere. We've seen extremes. Of violence, of brutality, which are just, in my view, extensions, or manifestations of this intergenerational trauma that Africans live to this day, from Sierra Leone, you name it, down to Nigeria, Biafra, in South Africa today, xenophobia, Afro-xenophobia is just showing its ugly face also, But all these, as I've argued before, in my other presentations, it's the British colonialism's divide and rule policy is just playing itself out in this magnificent way. So to that extent, Africa, nah, there's no hope. Indeed, there will be, it's human nature. There will always be exceptions. When I say that, I'm skeptical about the future of Africa. There's no hope in Africa. I'm not dismissing the fact that, and I want that. I encourage that, and it will happen anyway. There will always be exceptions. There will be at the individual level, maybe small collectives here and there. We'll have our Dangotes, in Nigeria, we'll have our Motsipes in South Africa, we'll have the others in Tanzania and all these places, and, we'll have the Rwandi's, success, post-genocide and everything. But that may be to the extent that, the strong leader, is in power. It'll be interesting to see what happens, when things happen, the time is over, retires, or if at all, or even dies. It will be interesting to see what happens, to Rwanda. And going back to this theory of transgenerational theory, transgenerational trauma, I can argue that, God forbid, I can argue that in another 20, 30, 50, or whenever, at some point, the trauma, experienced through the genocide in Rwanda is going to play itself out again. You see it, all over the world, and in Sierra Leone, it's going to come out, one way or the other, But even if you forget about, the deep science of neuroscience and all that, you have people being born, growing up, hearing stories, about the tragedies, of their families, and all that. People might seek revenge. People will seek revenge. There will be pacifists, and all that, But at some point, things will and do fall apart. And then you have even the bigger, pictures, Latin America, you name it, everywhere, and the current war, in Ukraine, regardless of who wins, in another generation or so, it's going to play itself out, Those who follow, children, of the survivors, descendants of the survivors, will have questions and will and want to act, to win, their lost glory, just like Putin, is driven by, according to what we hear, is driven by his need, to rebuild the USSR. Bullshit! It's never gonna happen, But that's what drives him, and it's a lot of crap. But that's what drives him, that, and you see it, in Syria, I can use examples, all over the world. And this is where, Africa is caught up as the worst beaten, probably most, destroyed, as a collective of post-colonial society, depending, on, what happens, in the big global picture, the economics and business, and all that. And of course, you have the Chinese monster, already, encroached, deep in the continent. It's a useless situation. It's a hopeless situation. If I have hope, and actually I do have hope, and it's that it's these exceptions, everywhere, within Africa itself, out in the diaspora here. Just stop, take a deep breath, and imagine, what would happen if more and more people like me, people who think like me, were to rise, speak up, encourage people, inspire people, teach, work with children, work with the youth, our future, our leaders of the future. Just imagine what would happen. That's where the hope is. But this is a process. The shame is that, what I'm doing right now, I'm sure, I wouldn't live to see the next day, if I were in Africa. What happens, somebody will kill me, maybe somebody wishes me dead already. But my message is already out. Can't stop. It's already, my books and, my presentations are already earlier, YouTube presentations and all that, It's already out. We just need more and more and more and more of those. And it doesn't mean that I am not traumatized as an individual. Of course I am. But my personal disposition, has helped me to embrace this reality, of my history, what we've gone through. And I've been open to learning how to understand myself better, my people, how to understand human nature. And probably the best thing that's happened in this regard is to start writing books. This has opened my mind. It has, it's taken my mind when I work. It takes my mind to dimensions, that I could never think of under normal circumstances, So in that regard, we need people in the arts, the creatives, be they poets, be they musicians, be they artists, painters, you dancers, you name them. We need more of their voice. Their voice, the voice of people like me, inspire, upcoming artists, upcoming generation of artists. Not only that, inspire, give home, give comfort to others, who are more inclined towards the natural sciences, mathematics. Give them hope, inspire them. If we are successful, are able to make money, we invest in projects that modernize, that bring up to standard our education systems in our respective countries in the African continent. A guy like me, let me tell you, I'm serious about this. Very, very serious. At my age now, millions and billions and all that, for when it comes to my personal needs today, I really don't care. But if I make these millions, I will use them to help my people. Investing in education, in health, a supportive system, at all levels, that inspire, that help people regain their self-confidence, while we are working to eliminate this transgenerational trauma. Inspire joy, inspire positivity. I'm a very happy kind of guy, when it comes to my ambitions, my dreams, I'm happy, I'm hopeful. And these ambitions, these dreams of mine are not for my own sake alone. I want to be strong, I want to be big, I want to be rich, I want to be the most powerful man in the world, so that I can help my people. It's no longer for me. I don't need Rolex watches anymore. I don't need Mercedes Benzes, I don't need to live in the most exclusive neighborhoods in Oslo, and it's over now, My dream, my hope, and with what I'm doing, is that I can influence, inspire, the younger generation, of African children in Africa, in the diaspora, everywhere, all over the world. All other people of color, that can inspire them, to take it for granted that life is good and life will always be good. There will be problems in the world. That's life, both man-made and natural. The value, the quality of being human, of being a man, a woman, whatever, it's when you say you're strong, when you say you're brilliant, I'm strong, I'm the richest, I'm the biggest, and all that, that makes sense only when it comes to problem solving. When life is good, it's good. You know, we party and, you know, do everything that goes, you know, with partying. That's fine. Nobody cares about that. Nobody cares about you, you know. When times are good, you know, you know, you'll entertain people and all that. Of course, you know, with your Bentleys, you know, and Ferraris and all that. That's fine, you know. But it's, you know, it's when things go wrong, you know, when there are pandemics, you know, corona here. Yeah? You are not going to say that, you know, everything was good, you know, like some interesting character in America. No, everything was good, you know, in America until the corona. Corona destroys everything. No. That's not how it works, you know. Indeed, everything may have been good until the corona. When the corona comes, you as a leader must take it head on, you know. The real test of greatness, you know, of leadership, of power, you know, is when things go wrong. It's not when times are good. When times are good, the times are good. That's what we want, that's what we aspire for. But when times are bad, things go wrong, you know, pandemics and the serious wars, you know, and natural catastrophes in the age of global warming, you know, for example, you know, asteroids fall from the sky, you know, they create problems, you know, and tsunamis and you name it, you know. That's when, you know, the greatest minds, you know, the strongest men and women rise, are expected to rise, must rise to the occasion to solve problems. So my work, my ambition, and, you know, forming the basis for what will be the little hope I have for Africa is that what I do will help the younger generations, you know, children, youth, learn to take it for granted that life is and shall be good. When there are challenges at all levels, we shall fix them. We shall find solution to the problems of Africa. But we need leadership. We need leaders who understand this idea. Leaders that you know, are still hooked on the idea, you know, of plundering state resources, you know, and all that, you know, must get out of the way. We don't need them. Wealth of nations is really what it is. It's a wealth of nations. I mean, it's outrageous, you know, that you have situations where leaders in Africa keep getting, you know, they get richer and richer and richer and richer and richer, wealthier, you know, with the years. But the nations keep getting poorer and poorer and poorer. That doesn't make sense. Wealth of nations, the wealth of a nation, for it to make sense, for it to be durable, you know, has to go around, you know, provide for the basic needs of the people, at the very least. When things go wrong, you know, with the nation, with the people are motivated. People will want to do something to protect their nation, to protect themselves, to protect their people. And if we can instill this kind of mentality to not only, you know, African people, but, you know, people of the world. I'm a capitalist. I mean, there's no two ways about it, you know. I love business. I love money, you know. I love to make money. Those exceptional people who are able to whether even in Zimbabwe, you know, you have some of the most influential, you know, business people in Africa globally, you know, in high tech, you know, and all that. Zimbabweans, you know, come on, give these guys a break, you know. We want more and more of those. So, you know, I want people to aspire, honestly, to be wealthy. I want people to aspire to be great. I want people to aspire to live and achieve their dreams, not only for their own individual sakes, but for the benefit, you know, of society at large. Because indeed, we are all different. You know, we'll be strong, we'll be weak, you know, we'll be vulnerable, you know, we are exposed to a lot of things in nature. You know, not everybody's going to be strong, not everybody's going to be smart, not everybody is going to be inspired to be a business man or woman. Some will want to be priests. Why not? You know, sportsmen, you know, and everything. Everybody must be allowed, must be given, you know, that chance, you know, have access to things. That's what I aspire to do. That's what I would like to see many of us do, many more of us. People in my network, you know, this across the board, you know, all over the world, you know, people who know me well, you know, especially, you know, African people, you know, in my family, come out and say, you know, Simon, you know, when you talk the way you talk and do things, you know, you must come back home, you know, Africa, you know, and be a leader, you know. We need people like you. Come to Africa, you know. Come and, you know, take part, you know, in the leadership processes, you know, and all that. That's desirable. I wish I could do that. But the thing is, you know, the danger is that, you know, were I to get to Africa and join politics and, you know, be part of that, find myself in that corrupt milieu and all that, and if I end up, you know, at the top, you know, I would be a dictator overnight myself, because, you know, I would be merciless, you know, in getting rid of these corrupt, you know, these greedy people, you know, in politics, in business, you know, all state-owned companies, you know, and all that, you know. I honestly would lock them up, or worse, you know. I get caught up in the same, you know, system. I don't have the heart for it. I couldn't do it. I prefer working, you know, at the grassroots, you know, inspire this new generation, you know, in which I place my hope that it will be fine. Not in this generation, in the third generation from now, maybe fourth, if we survive, you know. Nuclear war, Ukraine, global warming, and other catastrophes, new pandemics, who knows? Thank you for listening. I would be happy to, you know, interact and, you know, with people who have one or two things to say. You know, let's interact. You know, say what you gotta say, and comments below. And do please like, you know, the post if you like it, and if you like stuff that I do and say on YouTube here, do hit, you know, the subscribe button. Thank you very much. Peace.